And thanks to our chair, Karl Rodney of the foundation, and Lois Campbell of the association. They both have put together a wonderful program and a great experience this Black Press Week. We want to begin this evening's program with a settling prayer, a word of prayer and contemplation. I call on Dr. R.B. Holmes, Jr. To come from Capital Outlook to give us an invitation for tonight's program. Dr. Holmes.
Brothers and sisters, shall we bow our heads for a moment of thanksgiving and prayer. Eternal God, we are thankful for your grace, your mercy, and your kindness. We thank you for bringing us from a mighty, mighty long way. We continue to ask your richest blessings upon this Black press. Continue to give us good success and good health. We thank you for the vision and tenacity of our leaders and the persons who we're going to honor.
Mr. Karl Rodney. Karl Rodney.
Thank you very much, Al, and good evening. Good evening. It's indeed my pleasure to welcome you this evening to the Newsmaker Awards dinner of the NNPA Foundation and Association. As you know, Black Press Week is designed to celebrate the origin of the Black press 185 years ago, to recommit ourselves to that mission and to seek your support as we go forward. The Black press has been the torch of freedom for these many years, and we want to recommit to that torch to provide the light that will guide our community and indeed our country. We have selected honorees this evening who reflects that commitment, reflects that light by themselves, lighting the path for us as a people and as a community, and the light that we can follow. So we have identified individuals who reflect the mission and the long-term dedication of the Black press. The Black press, a mission that was carved for us 185 years ago, remains relevant and needed in today's world. And so as we look at our armies, we see and certainly want to continue to express that as we go along. And so we, as a custodian of the torch, NNPA and NPAF, we feel a sense of commitment and dedication to make sure that that torch that was lit 185 years ago will continue to burn bright, and to continue to burn bright for our people and for this country. Ladies and gentlemen, we must keep that torch going, and it is with your help, your commitment, and your support that this will happen. And of course, an event like tonight does not happen by itself, but it happens through the support we have gotten from our partners. And you'll hear from some later. But just to express my own and certainly association appreciation, we want to acknowledge AT&T, Ford, General Motors, Nielsen, Wells Fargo, Toyota, Miller's Corp, as corporations who have come forward to help to lift the hand that carries the torch. And we are pleased about that commitment, and we want to say thanks to them as we go forward. It's an important, challenging, but exciting job to go forward in these times of great change. And so I want to, again, welcome you, to say thanks, and to engage you as we go forward, and certainly to our honorees, we know that torch burned bright in you also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Rodney. And next I want to call on the president of the NNPA organization, Clovis Campbell. And I want to tell you that this weekend has been a wonderful demonstration of the spirit of cooperation, of connectedness, and of capability and possibility. The energy and the integrity that is guiding this relationship between the foundation and the association, and the intensity that all of us are bringing to this work is absolutely marvelous. So I want to once again praise all of you and thank all of you, and particularly praise and thank President Karl Rodney from the foundation and President Clovis Campbell from the association for their guidance, their leadership, and the depth of their spirit, heart, and courage. Is Clovis in the room? There he is, right here.
Thank you. That's all right. Everybody looks past me. First of all, I want to thank Al McFarland, one of our classiest publishers that we have in NNPA, not only a publisher, but a businessman as well. And I want to thank you all for being here. Karl talking about our sponsors, but I definitely want to reiterate the fact that we have some excellent sponsors in Nielsen, AT&T, Wells Fargo, Ford, Toyota, and of course our longtime partners who have done a great job of working with us over the years and are the first ones to step up to the plate, General Motors. Thank you all. I can't say enough about what's happened this week and all the things that are going on, but I first have to thank our board of directors on the association side. So if they're here and I announce your name, please stand up, because I could not do anything without the members of our board of association. What's that? John B. Smith, Molly Bell, Dorothy Bell started the Newsmaker Awards, and at that time we first honored, and we had to kind of sneak it in, if I'm not correct, Dorothy, when we had to get, we were at the National Press Club, and we didn't tell them who we had because we had Minister Farrakhan as one of our awardees. And at the time, and he was not that popular with some of the folks who were not of African-American persuasion. And so we had to work him into the event, and the soldiers from the Nation of Islam stood outside strong, and at that time, the folks figured that the minister had arrived. With that, the newsmakers that we have this year are tremendous, and I appreciate it. I know that we have a couple of them that have come from afar, and I think I'm supposed to do this right now. Okay, I'm following you out, but I just want to say thank you all for being here. It's an honor. We've had a great day so far, and we look forward to an excellent program tonight.
Thank you. We want to start by acknowledging the Lifetime Achievement Award first, and the Community Service Award. The Lifetime Achievement Award to the great Marion Wright Edelman. Give her a round of applause. And the Community Service Award to Ben Jealous. Let me just do this in this order. I'm going to bring up Ben Jealous first, and I'm going to ask Karl Rodney, and I think we're going to have John Smith and Joycelyn Allen of General Motors come and present the award to Ben Jealous. And Ben, come on up here. I'm going to read a little bit and then turn it over to them to honor you. You have it in your program, but just to give you this to hear it. Then Jim and Todd Jealous grew up believing that there was no higher calling than to further the cause of freedom in this country and in the world. It is a mindset he inherited from his parents and grandparents. Their drive for community betterment blazed the trail for Jealous's own deep commitment to social justice, to public service, and to human rights activism. And now, as the 17th President and Chief Executive Officer of the NAACP, and the youngest person to hold this position in the organization's nearly 100-year history, Jealous is well positioned to answer the call. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Jealous. Community Service Award from Scott. John Smith is here.
Thanks, Al. And thanks, family. It's just good to be back here at the NNPA. And that's where I got my start in this town. And where I got my start really in my professional life as a Jackson Advocate newspaper in Jackson, Mississippi. You know, when I told my mom, that's right. This has been very good about reaching out. We have some things in stores and things that we've been working on. And now that my, kind of feet are sort of firmly planted at the headquarters, I really want to be as useful as possible. I know that this recession is tough. I know you guys are working extremely hard. But we need you right now to be fighting as hard as ever. These are tough times for our people. Our history has taught us that we can get whatever we're fighting for at that moment and lose everything that we have at the same time. You think about the civil rights movement, we got the right to be a cop in any city in this country, and yet lost safe communities in virtually every city in this country. Got the ability to work for corporations at any level, and yet lost many of our own corporations. And at this moment, as we're fighting to get jobs for our young people, and improve our schools, and make our community safe again, they're out there taking away access to the ballot box. State after state after state. And so we must really, in this moment, all be vigilant, all be finding ways to work together to turn the ship around. And quite frankly, we should have expected times like this to follow the elation of electing our first black president. I just got back from Geneva from being at the UN. We had to send a delegation, a full delegation over to the UN since 1948. And they said, well, why are you back now? And I said, because we have just in the last year seen more states pass more laws, pushing more people out of the ballot box than we have in any year in the past century in this country. More than 5 million people. Those laws that W.E.B. Du Bois was complaining about when he was over here in 1947 were put in place a half century before that in the 1890s. And so we're here now to ring the bell for two reasons. One, we need you to come take a look at what's happening in the U.S. Because the U.S. sometimes needs to have itself reflected back to itself. Needs to have its ideals reflected back to itself, and needs to have its reality reflected back to itself. But also, we're here to put the world on notice so that no dictator can turn around and say he's just trying to secure the vote in his country, like we're securing the vote in ours. And I'll leave you with this final thought. This whole notion of voter ID is a bit ridiculous because they keep saying it's about stopping voter impersonation. Nikki Haley in South Carolina said it was about making sure that dead people don't vote. She said that she had 900 plus dead people who voted in the last election. And then their state election commission looked into it and they found zero. Because dead people don't vote. Why? Because they're dead. Just before that, the Republican Lawyers Association said, there's a huge problem. Now, we know that George Bush spent 5 years looking at this problem with his DOJ, spent millions of dollars, and he only found 81 cases in 5 years. So we're going to look at the entire country over 15 years. They found 350 cases in 15 years. It's about 24 cases a year or so. And for 24 cases a year, to prevent 24 cases a year, they're pushing over 5 million people out of the ballot box. So finally, I pulled one of them aside. I said, let me just get this straight. You all are pushing 5 million voters out of the ballot box to prevent maybe 24 cases a year. Well, last year there were 350 reports of UFO sightings. What y'all willing to do about that? See, there's sometimes when the stated intent is not the intent, it's the impact that's the intent. And when they're pushing 5 million voters out of the ballot box, and those voters are disproportionately black, disproportionately brown, disproportionately the very students who chose the last president in 2008. Maybe that's why they're doing it. And so I leave you with this one final quote. You know, we're fighting in Florida right now trying to get the DOJ to invalidate the reinstituting of that state's ban on formerly incarcerated people from voting. They're pushing 500,000 people off the rolls that were able to vote in 2008. Half of those 500,000 are black. And we asked the governor, why are you doing this? And all he and the Secretary of State would just say repeatedly is, it's very important, it's very important, it's very important. In other words, he wasn't very plain spoken. So we said, let's dig into the history and find out why these laws were created in the first place. And there was, plain as day, this delegate to the 1906 Virginia Constitutional Convention voted for that, and he explained why he was going to vote for that ban. He said, because of this plan, the darky will be eliminated as a factor in this state's politics within 5 years. And then we looked at state after state after state where these laws were first introduced 100 years ago, 130 years ago, 140 years ago, and you know what? They all said the same thing. So our politicians may not be as plain spoken anymore as they used to be. That may be a good thing, it may be a bad thing. The bottom line is that the laws do now what they did then. And we got to come together to fight them. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your service. Thank you for not letting that ink get out of your blood. We need it there until the job is done. God bless.
Now I'm going to ask members Clovis Campbell and Dorothy Lavelle and our associate, our supporter Cheryl Pearson